back to Everything EOS, the longest running podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Saturday.
The longest running podcast? Come on, we would have got redos here. We're live. We're the longest running EOS podcast.
You know what I said?
No, you skipped EOS. Keep going.
It's been a while, guys. It's been a while. Welcome back anyway, and happy Labor Day weekend to all of the Americans out there. Hope you're celebrating, having a good barbecue, spending some time with friends and family. Before we dive into this week in EOSIO, I do need to let everybody know that Zack and I are just talking about our opinions about open source software, and nothing we say should ever be taken as legal, financial, tax, professional, or any other kind of advice. If you listen to people online with what to do with your money, you will likely get wrecked. And if you're here joining us right now on the live stream, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. So Zack, what we got going on this week?
I think you brought the news. You surprised me on Monday. So last Friday, we didn't have this in our notes. I knew it was coming eventually, but you announced that Cypherglass is going to be launching their DSP very soon. I didn't expect you to say it last week, but I knew it was coming. And then the other surprise was you did a Bullish podcast on basically LiquidApps, which I appreciate that, but it'd be cool to get a heads up next time, so like we get like a tweet ready or something. But that was the big news for me personally, because I've been trying to convince you to launch a DSP for a while now, and I know you've been pretty bullish on LiquidApps, so I'm happy that you did that. But what was I going to say? We kind of I don't want to say we overdid it because we're both super bullish on it. I work for them. This is like everything LiquidApps and dApp network this week because I'm going all over the place. On the Bullish Podcast, it's different than Everything EOS, but we had a lot of LiquidApps content. Let me get out of this mess here and get into the actual news script. You threw me off here because I threw you off at the beginning.
It's all good. We're excited about that. The actual DSP will definitely be launching this year at some point, and we'll have a bunch of different services to help out dApps. We already have a couple clients lined up as well, so we're excited about it and excited about the potential not just to scale EOS, but to help scale pretty much every other blockchain as well, assuming the LiquidApps team pursues that. So
you actually have a dApp you're involved with planning to deploy to the mainnet any time now, huh?
Yeah, that's right. DMail is going to use it for some really, really cool features. There's a whole automation suite coming and a lot of other exciting stuff that pretty much any crypto business on EOS can use for customer retention and all kinds of other really neat stuff. So we'll have more to share on that soon as well.
The other thing I didn't even put in this notes. I don't remember if I have LiquidApps stuff at the end, so I'll mention it now. Moonlighting, I'm pretty sure they launched softly onto the EOS mainnet and using some dApp network implementations to help them scale to their 700,000 users. I think it happened. They were doing like a go or no go like every day for like the last week. I'm not 100% on this, but if I'm incorrect today on Saturday, within the next couple of days, I don't know, with the holiday weekend, it will be deployed. They're not planning to have a big announcement about it though, because the whole point of their EOSIO implementation on Moonlighting is the users shouldn't know they're using a blockchain. They use email, password, or ID to log in. They never have to manage keys or anything. Everything happens on the back end. They've got several 100,000 users, and the transactions are being hashed all to the mainnet. So that's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'll try to get some of the Moonlighting guys actually on a podcast. I talked to Ramon from Blockstart and Investing with a Difference. His team contracted this enterprise project, their implementation onto the EOS mainnet. And I think they're willing to come on to discuss it, because this is, as far as I know, the largest application deployed to the mainnet, and it's amazing that they're like doing it quietly. It's not even a big deal. It's business as usual. They're just making their business more secure, more auditable,
definitely
replayable.
Ultimately, that shows the power of the dApp network, where you can take 700,000 users, and instead of having to pay the several $100,000 it would cost to give all those people EOS accounts, you can give them liquid accounts instead and still get all the benefits of putting everything on chain. So it really just makes a ton of sense. Mm-hmm. We have some news also, though, on the EE proxy. If you haven't already and you're looking for a proxy to proxy your votes to on the mainnet, you can proxy your votes to eeproxy.info. And a huge shout out to all the people out there that have proxied their vote to us. We're now up to 840,000 votes. I think the last time we were at 500,000, so we've gotten another couple 100,000 votes. Thank you all out there so much. We really appreciate it. And all of the BPs that we're voting for, I'm sure, appreciate it as well. And that brings up an interesting point as well about some of these unpaid BPs we were voting for. Do you want to kind of explain that and flesh that out?
So we had our 30 block producer votes all picked out for the last few weeks now. Whenever we had to finalize our last like 4 or 5 votes, it was very difficult because there was probably like 10 BPs that we wanted to vote for. But we knew this day would come where we have to start thinking about how do we rotate these votes. We don't want to just have these 30 BPs and not let anyone else in, because we want to keep it competitive. Someone who's not in our 30 votes, we want them to keep wanting to come in. But what happened recently is I think at least 5 of our block producer votes have fallen out of paid BP positions. So it's a very difficult position that we're in, because you don't want to kick someone while they're down. But whenever there are millions of votes from a paid position, it's almost like our votes aren't being used as effectively as they could. So we had internal discussions with Everything EOS Proxy, which is myself, Rob Finch, Peter Kay, Mark Woods, and Jay Peterson, who's probably in the chat right now. So we had to make these decisions, and we didn't take it lightly, but we also wanted to bring in a Korean block producer. We realized after finalizing our list, I mean, we knew whenever we were going through the last couple of votes, but we did not have any representation from Korea, and it's something we are definitely incentivized to do, because BitHum, if you guys haven't caught the news a couple months ago, they started mentioning how they wanted to start voting. Do you remember the percentage of the total EOS tokens in the ecosystem that BitHum actually holds, Rob?
I want to say it's about 5%. I think it's about 50 million total tokens, somewhere along there, 40 to 50 million. So it looks like recently, and this was brought to our attention by Joe Lewis. A huge shout out to Joe if you're out there listening. BitHum has recently actually divided 30 million votes. This is in addition to the 5 million that they already proxied to Brock Pierce's proxy. They divided 30 million BitHum votes across 18 accounts. So it'll be interesting to see what they're planning on doing with those, if they're going to vote those, maybe send some to some different proxies, or maybe they'll start a proxy of their own. Who knows? So I'm just happy to see more votes moving, more people getting out and engaging on chain.
Yeah, so knowing the situation with BitHum, we want to have an impact in governance in the EOSIO ecosystem. BitHum's #1 goal is to have representation of Korean block producers and dApps. And it's not like we're reaching on Node 1. Node 1 is a Genesis block producer who helped organize the EOS community conference at launch, which many of the block producers were at and attended. And they're also one of the sponsors for the upcoming community conference, the second one, coming up in Rio in October, which I'm still undecided on that. I'm very close to making a decision. I'm probably 90% going, but there are a few things that might make that not happen. I'll update everyone on that. But let's give the Rio conference a shout out though, because that doesn't mean everyone else can't go if I can't go. I don't have the dates in front of me. I didn't plan to talk about this. I should have.
That's all right. One of the big things Node 1 has done recently, they were actually the ones that went out there and convinced BitHum to vote and proxy those votes to Brock Pierce. So that's a big part of the reason why we voted for them as well in getting that exchange out there to vote. Some more news also, though, coming from EOS Apologist, who is a pretty cool video creator from within the EOS community. He put out a video recently, I believe this was last week, talking about how he's signing off on video development, but for a very good reason. He's actually going to be focusing on developing dApps on EOS and taking all of that time that he used to put into videos and instead diverting that into actual dApp development. So we wanted to take this time to just give a huge shout out to EOS Apologist, wish him the best of luck in his upcoming dApps, and we can't wait to see what he ends up building.
Awesome. Someone's saying they hear a lot of noise. All right, anyway, I'm trying to see if it's my audio. I don't know. Let us know in the chat if there's anything wrong with the audio. I haven't been watching the live chat to get any feedback. The reason we wanted to bring up the EOS Apologist is, one, he makes cool videos. I always enjoy them. If you don't know him by name, he's the one that used like the computer generated voice and the robot guy in the videos, the like real futuristic ones. Yeah. He's a great content creator, but I've seen people like talking in the chats because they just read the headline and heard that he was leaving, and they didn't actually watch. It was just a 2-minute video, guys, but no one watched the video where at the end he says it's because he
turn your mic down a bit if you can. It's the gain, I think. Yeah,
I'll just back up from it while I'm talking here, but I just wanted to say that they didn't watch the actual video. They probably, because at the end he specifically says it's because of dApps. And I think the reason it was a big deal to people is because EOS Weekly also hasn't been making videos, but Chris, he works in like product development, like that wasn't his job, and he told me he spent like 40 hours a week on those things. And as much as we want to see him back, I'm sure he's focused on real life. He's not out of the ecosystem either. It's just, I don't know. Thanks, EOS Apologist. DM us if you want any help ever, if you're working on any projects. We enjoyed your content. Now let's get into the bullish news. Rob, why don't you kick it off while I figure out this microphone problem?
So this is super exciting. So we've all talked about Peter Thiel before and his investment in Block.one, but we've also kind of skimmed over the fact that there are other billionaire investors that invested in Block.one as well. And today we're going to focus on one of them. His name is Alan Howard. And there's a new piece came out on Cointelegraph. He also was talking to the Financial Times. But essentially, billionaire Alan Howard is eyeing a $1 billion crypto fund management venture. So essentially, Alan Howard has gone out, he and his people, the people that work for him, the different analysts and things like that, have essentially identified a few different crypto hedge funds that they've done a ton of due diligence on that they think are incredibly legitimate. And they're putting together a $1 billion crypto fund that will then invest in all of these other sub crypto funds. So you can kind of think of it like you were saying before the podcast, Zach. It's kind of like an index fund for reliable, legitimate, sort of heavily vetted crypto funds that then his clients can get exposure to. But what's so interesting about this, a lot of us know Alan Howard. He's this British billionaire hedge fund manager and the co-founder of Brevin Howard Asset Management LLP. To give you some insight on who he is, in February 2013, Forbes listed him as one of the 40 highest earning hedge fund managers in the world. And in 2014, he was on the UK's Sunday Times rich list with a net worth of $1.35 billion. So this guy has some serious money. He's worked with Peter Thiel before. He's worked with Louis Bacon before, which we may talk about on a future episode that both invested in Block.one. But this new $1 billion crypto hedge fund is not his first entrance into crypto. Obviously, he invested in Block.one, but he also invested $182.5 million into Bakkt, which is coming up with a launch on September 23rd, the same day as the EOS mainnet upgrade. And Galaxy Digital invested in Bakkt as well. So it's just so cool to see more people in the traditional finance space move into crypto and really sort of legitimize it as this emerging asset class.
I agree. I'm excited for Bakkt. So
yeah,
I'm jealous that on Bullish you get to talk about non-EOS news, but Bakkt I think does affect EOS. We will tie it into EOS somehow, some way. Also in the live chat, let us know if this is better on the audio. I'll try to fix if it's not. But why don't you just give the TLDL version recap on what Bakkt is, Rob?
So Bakkt is a product from the Intercontinental Exchange, who are the owners of the New York Stock Exchange. Yes, that New York Stock Exchange. And they're launching Bakkt, which essentially will start by offering Bitcoin futures products. And obviously Bitcoin futures exist right now on the CBOE, but the biggest difference here is that the CBOE futures are settled in cash, in dollars, and the new Bakkt futures are actually settled in actual Bitcoin, which should help with price discovery, should help with liquidity. And it's really the first legitimate on-ramp for institutional investors who have different investment restrictions on who they can invest with to enter into crypto, starting, of course, with Bitcoin. So September 23rd should be a huge day for crypto, not just because Bakkt is launching, but also that EOS mainnet upgrade coming as well. But more liquidity, more institutional investors coming into Bitcoin is best for the entire ecosystem as well, as that sort of, brings that money in and then funnels on down into other projects like EOS potentially as well. So super exciting to see, and huge congrats to Bakkt for finally getting all that regulatory approval to launch in September. You still there, Zach?
Yeah, I think I was muting my mic because I thought I was getting feedback. The other thing with Bakkt is they had that partnership going with Starbucks. One of their, I don't know if they're invested in Starbucks or Starbucks invested with them, but they want to, like, one of their early initiatives was they wanted to make crypto easily spendable at locations like Starbucks, and like usually like the meme is spend Bitcoin on a cup of coffee. But if Bakkt has like the liquidity and the exchange on the back end all regulated, and on the front end you have retailers like Starbucks introducing these payment solutions, then we could assume with both Galaxy Digital and Alan Howard as major investors into Bakkt, that whatever these services are that come to fruition are going to include EOS. And if they include EOS, and if voice comes to fruition, which I'm not even going to make a guess on when that's going to be, hopefully by the end of this year, hopefully we see a test net soon, but it will happen. It will happen, hopefully sooner rather than later. But when it does, if people are earning these voice tokens for some sort of UBI or for having good content and getting voice tokens sent to them, you're going to want to spend those voice tokens. So because voice is going to have an immediate EOS voice trading pair on any DEX using the EOS mainnet, you could convert to voice to EOS, and then through Bakkt you're able to have that liquidity and be able to spend it at retail. All this is being built. So the next year or two is going to be exciting with Bakkt, because I don't think it's going to have all these features on September 25th, but they're coming. So I'm bullish on Bakkt.
Yeah, September 23rd, by the way.
So 23rd. Thanks for that correction.
I mean, we're less than a month away from that and the EOS mainnet upgrade. So exciting times ahead. This, I guess tomorrow is September 1st. So it's going to be an exciting month for sure.
Since we brought up Louis Bacon, we wanted to bring up Bloomer. You want to read the message from a while back whenever I think it was when Galaxy sold some of the B1 stock and there was FUD all around?
Yeah, so this is a message from Brendan Bloomer, CEO of Block.one, back in May of this year. And he said, last year's buyback was to make room for new investors without unnecessarily inflating our balance sheet. This round included highly strategic shareholders such as Peter Thiel, Alan Howard, who we just discussed, and Louis Bacon, and was a very positive thing for the company. Then he goes on to say, this year's buyback is the first step of the same, and we also expect it will be another milestone for the company. All of this information, along with a lot of other material, was supplied to Alistair, but facts were chosen and arranged deceitfully. He's talking about something different, like an article there.
But he was talking about the Galaxy article where they kind of made it look like a big FUD hit piece.
This brings up an interesting question, though, when he says this year's buyback is the first step of the same. Who will the next big investors into Block.one be? Do you have any guesses or speculation on that, Zach?
So the reason I remember, Ash Oro posted a tweet speculating that, like, I don't know if he said B1 would invest in Yubikey or the other way around, but that's what got me thinking about this. And I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, Bloomer said that they're buying back stocks so that they could take on another big investor. And I'm just wondering who that was. And the reason this is all front in my mind was because on the next topic, I'm going to bring up someone named Lee Schneider. Do you guys remember who Lee Schneider is? Rob, do you remember who Lee Schneider is? General Counsel of Block.one?
General Counsel of Block.one, yeah.
So we often complain in the EOS community, myself included, because we don't hear from Dan and Brendan as much as we would like to, because we know they can't tell us everything they're doing, but it's nice to just hear some updates and know that they're alive, even though we know that they're working. But the general counsel of Block.one, Lee Schneider, he has his own crypto podcast called Appetite for Disruption. And I had this idea. I was like, I want to see what this guy's up to, because I want to know what Block.one's up to. And this guy's their general counsel, which is like their top lawyer, I think. Is that general counsel? Is that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, he's up there.
Whatever, he's up there. He's up there enough that he got a blog article when they hired him, all right? But he had two separate episodes back to back, a two-parter with the CEO of Yubikey, and it was a very interesting episode. So yeah, I mean, we know Yubikey's working with Block.one just because like they were on stage together. It's no surprise, but I am going to continue to speculate that I think this is bigger than any of us are thinking about. I don't know what exactly it is, but I think Yubikey and Block.one are going to do some amazing stuff in the next year. Outside of Block.one's partnership with Yubikey, them alone are doing amazing things. So if Block.one could piggyback on that, that's huge. They have all this enterprise adoption from like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, everybody.
Definitely. That's exciting. But if you guys want to listen to that, by the way, just search Appetite for Disruption on your favorite podcast app. I'm looking at it on iTunes right here, right now.
But yeah, so I think that there's more to it than that, and I've brought this up before. I met the guy from one of the guys from Yubikey in San Fran back in April at the EOS World Expo, and he was so bullish on like Yubikey identity and like Block.one, and like I didn't understand why he was so excited about it, but he's like a cryptography like nerd, which is fine. He was a smart guy, but I couldn't understand it, and it leads me to believe that it's bigger than any of us. Like Phoenix, you were there, Phoenix. You could vouch for it. Tell us in the chat what he told you. But I think there's more to this Yubikey stuff. Let's just jump into the next one, because I have more stuff with Lee Schneider in the next topic.
Definitely. So the Blocksburg Summit, which is happening in Blacksburg, Virginia, this November 10th to 12th, is something we've been talking about and teasing for a while. And we finally got a tweet from Virginia Tech Computer Science saying that it's happening for sure, and that registration will open in early September. So obviously Zack and I will try to be there. It should be a cool event. And speaking of Lee Schneider, he is one of the people that's tentatively booked, along with SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, who is very bullish on crypto, Dan Larimer, that we all know and love, Amy Devine Kim, who is the Global Policy Director and General Counsel at the Chamber of Digital Commerce. And there was a teaser for Chain as well, which was one of the projects that was built in that Virginia Tech blockchain hackathon earlier this year.
You just ran through those bullet points, Rob. Without context. Yeah, I got to add some context here. So I don't think they launched their website yet. These were confirmed guests as of like 2 weeks ago from a contact of mine. And I think since they made this tweet, it looks like August 29th, they should be like launching the website, which will have like all the pictures of the speakers and stuff, like your typical conference site. But it's exciting because there's this budding relationship between Block.one and Virginia Tech. And we've been talking about it for a year and a half now. And I still think so many people are underestimating this. It's like a huge computer science school. It's in the same city as Block.one. And you mentioned Chain. So yeah. Chain, from the information I have, they're going to be, I don't know if they're one of the presenters or one of the guests or whatever, but Chain is a project that was actually built by one of the student teams in the semester-long hackathon challenge at Virginia Tech during the whole spring semester, which Block.one offered mentorship the whole way through. And Chain's basically an EOSIO based blockchain system for like payments and like student IDs on the Virginia Tech campus. I have a little mock-up here for you guys if you want to see it. I don't think like Block.one posted this or the Chain team published this, but since I was in contact with all of these student teams, shout out to J and W and the Blockchain boys. Hey, the winners. We were in touch with these teams, so I actually got to see some of the demos. Like after the finale, whenever they got judged and stuff, some of them sent me their pitch decks, their videos, and this is a screenshot from their demo. It's about a minute and 20 minutes. I'm not going to play it here because I didn't actually have time to get permission to even show you this screenshot. But they were on the schedule of events that I was told was tentative as of 2 weeks ago. So leads me to believe that Virginia Tech's going to be adopting some sort of EOSIO implementation, which is really cool. It's growing. One last thing I wanted to mention is you want to mention the Amazon thing? Like Virginia Tech also has really tight Amazon partnerships, and this is not Block.one. This is what Virginia Tech has. Virginia Tech is working with Block.one, and Virginia Tech is working with Amazon. You want to mention the DC campus real quick?
Yeah, I mean, in addition to Block.one building out that huge campus in Blacksburg, and then obviously in DC, another huge company, Amazon, is coming to Blacksburg as well. So they're building out a huge
Washington DC. They're going to Washington DC. Amazon.
Oh, I thought it was in Blacksburg.
No. Okay. Amazon's in Washington DC. Block.one's moving to Washington DC, and they're also in Blacksburg. You know.
Okay, I was under the impression that Amazon was coming to Blacksburg as well.
No, so here's the situation. I'll just fill everyone in. We know Block.one is building or has built or launched, I don't even know, Northern Virginia office outside Washington, D.C. The Amazon second headquarters is also going to Washington, D.C. And Virginia Tech is building a giant innovation campus in D.C. with partnerships with Amazon. That's what's all going on. But they're all separate from each other. I'm just saying it's nice to be close to powerful friends. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, I'll pull this up on the screen. The guy in charge of the Virginia Tech blockchain project, he was the one who was in charge of the hackathon all semester. He did the seminar back in January. He's a guy by the name of Kirk Cameron. He's been at Virginia Tech for 14 years and 1 month. In his role, he's the head of research and engagement for all things corporate, alumni, blockchain, and Amazon. So that is this guy's role. He has a heavy hand in organizing this conference. So beyond the guests I mentioned, I don't know who else is going to be there at this moment in time, but I hope that maybe Kirk can bring in some heavyweights from the tech industry, and they could hear Dan Larimer on stage for the, I hope would be the keynote, but we'll see.
Right. Yeah, it's exciting. And speaking of other exciting news, we have some news from the EOSIO community as well. EOS New York and the Chintai team announced recently this program called Mynt. It stands for My Native Token, MYNT. And essentially, it's an end-to-end service, they say, for deploying customizable token distribution events on EOSIO blockchains. So you can kind of think of it the way EOS New York was describing it. It's kind of like a token in a box, where if you're an entrepreneur out there, you're launching this cool token project, there are really a lot of different steps you have to sort of, a lot of different boxes you kind of have to check off, from regulatory to technology to token contract audits to how are you going to distribute it? Are you going to accept money in exchange for the tokens, like a token generation event that like the dApp network is doing or Chintai is doing with the checks token? So essentially what they've done, it seems, is taken some of those services and those products that they've built to use for themselves with Chintai and the checks token, and now they're kind of offering those services to others that need to do something similar on any EOSIO blockchain. So it's pretty cool, and I wanted to run through some of the features here as well. The features listed are token contract creation, so making that actual token contract and auditing it, airdrop and air grab functionality, which is cool. Not sure if they'll have something like an air hodl that LiquidApps does, but I'm sure it's something they could custom build. You have a choice of your token distribution format, whether you want it to be something like a checks token, or maybe it's all at once like an ICO. Leasing capability is actually enabled for the token that you generate through Chintai, and they have a customizable front-end auction portal with KYC integration if that's something that you require from a regulation standpoint. Then they do things like optional server maintenance and automated EOSIO blockchain resource management, which I'm sure Chintai will be providing as well. So it's pretty cool. What did you think about this announcement, Zach?
I think so. A big theme with everything we talk about is user onboarding, developer onboarding. How about business onboarding to tokenize their business? You have to make tokenizing a business easy. If you're a traditional business and you want to launch a token, then this service is perfect for you, I think. It's token in a box. The reason Ethereum had so many ERC20 tokens is because they made it super easy, and they had a cookie cutter contract that everyone was using. It was audited and battle tested, so everyone trusted it. And we don't have that in EOS yet. And I think this is going to help. They have a very capable team with the EOS 42 and Chintai team backing it. So I know they're capable. So I'm just excited for business onboarding. I'm not even going to say dApp onboarding, because you don't have to have a dApp to have a token necessarily. So I think this is great for any business or dApp, I'll say, or application that wants to add a token. This it looks like a very turnkey option, and it's going to pair very well with Chintai 2.0 and what they're doing with checks, because like this resource management stuff they have going on, it sounds super innovative. It's basically outsources your resources if you're a dApp, so you don't have to worry about it. They buy as much or as little CPU and RAM as you need, and they're going to be extending that service to their new dApps. So they're going to onboard a dApp for a token, and they're probably going to onboard them also for these resource services. And I don't know, I think it's just great for onboarding. I'm excited for Chintai 2.0. I didn't see it this morning whenever I was going through the notes one last time, but I saw a blog article on Chintai's blog that said Chintai 2.0 would be launching on the testnet in August. And today's the last day of August, and I haven't seen it yet. So that means it's either coming today or just probably very soon, and they're probably rushing to get this thing out on the testnet. But I'm excited for Chintai 2.0.
Definitely, yeah. I'm hoping it'll be on the testnet soon and we can all try it out. But obviously the Chintai service that's up now, anybody can go use. But what's exciting also, there's another interesting project that Fred Krueger from Lynx is working on. Obviously, Lynx started out with just a wallet, but after a little while, Fred decided he's going to launch a project, an EOSIO chain called Lynx Chain. And it has some interesting features like built-in avatars, you have custom short names. It seems like a very gaming-focused chain, and Fred tweeted a couple different video demos of a game called Bomb Sweeper that was on chain, and then showing how the wallet worked as well. So if you're interested, follow Fred Krueger on Twitter or the Lynx wallet account as well. It should be pretty interesting, and we'll keep you guys updated here. What's so interesting about all these EOSIO sidechains is that, if somebody comes up with a unique and innovative idea, it's very, very easy generally for us to then implement that on the mainnet. A good example being the 3-second lib time on Boss that now some people are working on actually implementing into the mainnet to have faster transaction finality. So that's pretty cool. Looking forward to that. And then some interesting news also from TokenPocket, where TokenPocket obviously got neutered by Apple because Apple has a new requirement when it comes to dApp browsers that for every single dApp that you auto-populate in a dApp browser, they have to have their own unique Apple developer ID. So while it's still possible to have something like TokenPocket with 1,000 different dApps, in the App Store. Unfortunately, it's a real pain for them to go around to each individual developer and get all their developer IDs so that they can comply with Apple's rules. So what they've done instead is they've launched sort of a basic version of TokenPocket where you can send tokens, you can do resource management, you can vote, all those different things. And now they have what they're calling TokenPocket Pro, which sort of goes around the App Store and allows you to install it directly on your device and still get that dApp browser. So if you're like me and you use TokenPocket, check out TokenPocket Pro. I highly recommend it. It's a great way to keep using dApps right on your iPhone.
And I just want to add some context. TokenPocket did get neutered, but they're the last to get neutered. I used to use Lynx exclusively, but I had all the other wallets. And then Lynx was the first to get neutered and comply, so they got rid of their dApp store. And then I didn't try Meet One, but I think they got taken down. And then I was exclusively using TokenPocket for the last couple weeks here, and now they got neutered. But now you can get the Pro version through TestFlight, so everything is good in the world. And do you think other wallets will follow suit to get around these limitations with the App Store? It's actually a really good idea.
I think there's going to be two people. There's going to be people that go through the time and effort to contact each individual dApp developer and have them make an Apple developer ID. That way Apple has somebody to hold accountable if a dApp breaks the rules. But I think a lot of people will just go this route and sort of say, hey, install it on your device using TestFlight. Obviously, the user experience of getting that wallet on your phone is much, much worse than just being able to search it on the App Store. You have to go into your settings and change a couple things. But ultimately, it's good that they can still support that and don't have to just sort of cut out iPhones at all. And of course, on Android, you're not affected at all. They don't have the same rules over there.
So that's pretty much our news. I got strung up at the beginning whenever I was talking about LiquidApps a little bit. I think I said something about the interview with Tal, but I really want everyone watching, if you want to, without knowing anything about LiquidApps, if you just want to learn about the CTO Tal Miscal, like we did this 50-minute podcast that I released earlier this week. It turned out super well. It's been getting great comments and everything, and I just want everyone to watch it because these are the people working on EOSIO. Everyone wants to look at price and complain. It's a bear market. Things are quiet. But there are very talented people building really, really innovative things. And Tal Miscal is a freaking genius. I look up to the guy. He's one of the biggest reasons I am with LiquidApps. But there's other people that are equally as talented. I know, Icon, I can't remember his name. He's the excellent Microsoft guy. The Chintai team has incredible experience. But if I could make a recommendation, please watch this interview, and you will. I don't know. I just want to say watch it because I'm super impressed with it. I spent a lot of time editing that thing, and I just want people to watch it because I am proud of my work. I just want to say, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And
absolutely, I've been watching that this weekend as well. It's on my list. So
I've been enjoying everything Rob's been putting out. I still don't know what you're putting out for Monday, but you've had a busy week with the new World of Warcraft episode. What is it? Release.
Yeah, I've been living in Azeroth for the last week, basically, with the WoW Classic launch. Got a bunch of my friends together, and we basically played the entire week and met up with a bunch of old online friends. So it was an awesome time. And as a teaser for Monday's episode of Bullish, we'll have something to do with the virtual worlds. World of Warcraft will come up as well. So I think that's it for the episode. If you're here with us, you made it the whole way, remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, if you want to get bullish with me, tune in Monday, search Bullish on your favorite podcast app and subscribe, and you can catch that new episode there Monday. So I think that's it for today. I'm Rob Finch.
I'm Zack Gall.
And this
is Everything EOS.
Go EOS! Leave a Go EOS in the chat. We'll see you next time.